Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to have a look at another collaboration beer. So this one is half Latvian on the home side, half Romanian on the away side, and both of the breweries involved in this one have featured on the channel before, albeit the Latvian one a few more times than the Romanian one. But the beer itself is one that I have actually tried before. We had this one on tap in the pub that I used to work in, and I know that this one is really quite nice. But both breweries involved in this one have very good reputations. I would say the Latvian brewery are best known for their different kinds of New England hazy, whatever you want to call them, IPAs, but they have been doing some really nice imperial stouts and fruity sours in recent times, whereas the Romanian brewery seem to be very solid all round. Some very good IPAs of different varieties, some good imperial stouts, and also some nice fruity juicy sour beers as well. But this beer was released very recently through Systembolaget here in Sweden, part of the Tillfällig assortment. Like I say, I know this one is good, so I'm curious to do a proper sit-down review of this one and think about it a little bit more. So hopefully it's as good as I remember, hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well, and definitely cool to do a Latvian-Romanian collaboration review for you here on the channel too. So yeah, for the home side of things then, we are going to head to a little place called Eimuri in the Ādaži region, quite close to Riga in Latvia, and we're going to have a look then at another beer from Ārpus Brewing Company. So this particular beer is called Peach Apricot Mango Strawberry Lemon Maple Smoothie Sour Ale. It comes in at 5% ABV, and I think you'll have an idea of what style this one is from the name. But this is brewed in collaboration with Bereta Brewing Company, who come from Giarmata, just outside of Timișoara in the southeastern part of Romania. We had one of the beers from their special barrel aging project on the channel a few videos ago, which was very, very nice. But I think this might well be the first time that we're featuring Bereta proper on the channel, if we can call it that. But yeah, a 5% smoothie sour ale this one, and it is a beer that I know is pretty damn nice. So let's crack on with this and see what it has in store for us. So, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries involved here before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery websites, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Ārpus Brewing Company and from Bereta Brewing Company, and we will hopefully add more to both of those lists at some point in the near future. But there's all the usual social media down there if you want to see more reviews. Do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support you give is massively appreciated, and remember you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go into the homepage, use the little search bar, put your hometown, state, county, whatever you like in there. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Latvian playlist and the Romanian playlist, along with a number of other things. But remember, you can also check out the playlist of beers from different countries as well. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries. We'll start off with Ārpus Brewery, since they are the home brewery in this case. So yeah, Ārpus Brewing, as I've mentioned to you already, are from Latvia, and the company was founded back in 2017 by two home brewers. This was Girts Tihomirovs and Vladimir Berezins. So they started off as a gypsy brewery, but were based primarily in the Riga area, and in the first year they brewed at 4 different breweries around the country, which they say helped them really understand how to use different brewing equipment and how to brew different styles. But a few years later, having built up their sales and things like this, in 2019 they received funding from the Latvian Investment and Development Agency, along with the EU Agricultural Fund for Rural Development, and in total they invested about €200,000 in their own brewery in Eimuri in the Ādaži region, just to the northeast of Riga, and that's where they're still based today. But the new brewery helped them increase their output dramatically, and they apparently export around 90% of their output. But this is very common in the Baltic states, because you have to remember these countries are very small population wise, so a lot of the breweries there will sell maybe like about a quarter or a third of their produce locally, but then everything else is exported. You know, Estonia is only like 1.3 million people. I think Latvia is about 1.5 or 1.6, and Lithuania is about 2 or 3 million if I remember correctly there. So yeah, a lot of the Baltic breweries tend to export a lot of their produce actually. But as of June 2023, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced about 65 different kinds of beer according to Untappd. I thought it would have been more, to be quite honest with you, because these guys fire out a hell of a lot of different things. But the name Arpus actually comes from a Latvian word that means outside of the box. So yeah, that's why you have the Arpus symbol with the box here, but ironically the name is inside the box. So yeah, kind of cool actually. But yeah, Ārpus Brewing Company, as I say, over the years they've built up a very good reputation for themselves, mainly with their New England hazy IPAs, but yeah, in more recent times they've been doing a number of smoothie sours and imperial stouts and things like that. I think we've reviewed a good couple of their IPAs on the channel. We did have one imperial stout at some stage, but I'm not sure if we had one of the sours actually. But yeah, probably the most recognisable Latvian craft beer name across the European continent. But yeah, that's everything I can really tell you about them. If you want to learn more, you can of course check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer and Untappd pages to learn a little bit more about all the different beers that they've done. So yeah, let's go on to the Romanian side of things. We'll head south to where it's a little bit warmer this time. But yeah, so Bereta Brewing Company are based in Giarmata to the northeast of Timișoara in Romania. And the two men behind this company are Adrian Babel and Silvio Berta. So these guys were both big beer enthusiasts that met each other just by chance, and they then started homebrewing together in around 2014 and developed a number of recipes together before officially founding Bereta a little bit later in 2015. But from 2016 they started operating as a gypsy brewery, and they were the first in Romania to do so. But the majority of their beers in the early days were produced at Ground Zero Brewery in Bucharest, but they then started brewing a number of beers at Hop Hooligans and Wicked Barrel as well. But they set many trends in Romania by helping to kick off the New England hazy trend and also brewing some big imperial stouts which won them a number of awards. Over the following years they kind of built up their sales and got their name out there a little bit more, and in 2018 they got their permits and started brewing at their own facility in Giarmata. But that year they also organised the first Timișoara craft beer festival along with local shop Bibliotec. And since then, they've had their own facility that's allowed them to help a number of home brewers brew on the big scale, and they've started their own companies as well, actually, some of these guys. So this is Blackout, Hop Drops and Owl Brewery. But since 2020, they've also been canning their beers too. That's helped them with their exports, and they also have the Strange Companion brand as a side project, which is where they release a number of really interesting barrel-aged beers. That was the one we reviewed a few videos back, and that was like it was like a rum barrel-aged kind of quadruple doppelbocky type thing. It was very, very nice actually. But these days they've also got their own tap room and bottle shop in central Timișoara, and as of June 2023, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced around 230 different kinds of beer according to Untappd. But yeah, these guys, Bereta along with Hop Hooligans, are the two breweries that you're most likely to find from Romania across the European continent, and in my experience they both do some very, very good stuff. So definitely worth trying some Romanian beers if you get the chance. So yeah, here we've got two breweries involved in this one that are very well respected already, but still kind of up and coming in my mind actually, still not near the potential that they could have. But yeah, that's everything I can tell you about Bereta Brewing Company for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can of course check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a little bit more about all of the different beers that these guys have done too. So yeah, let's go on to the beer itself then actually, and we can have a look at this. So I'll just get rid of my brewery notes and I'll let you have a wee look at the can. So here you can see the artwork on this one is very nice. I do wonder if this is a picture of somewhere around Timișoara or something like that. But yeah, you can see the Ārpus Brewing Company symbol at the top there, and then you can see the Bereta Brewing Company symbol at the bottom. Quite simple artwork, but very, very nice. And as you can see, this is the name of the beer: the peach, apricot, mango, strawberry, lemon, maple smoothie sour ale. So yeah, I'm going to need to figure out how we actually name this beer for this review, because I think that'll be far too long for the title bar for YouTube. So we'll need to figure that out. But yeah, it would be quite nice, this one. Plain silver top on the can here. I believe this one cost me like 50 Swedish kroner, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe, in fact, I think it might have been 60. So that's roughly about €6, somewhere in the region of like £5 sterling, maybe $7 American. But for a 5% smoothie sour that's got a shitload of stuff in it, I think that is pretty damn good. But it tells you a little bit on the side here. Ārpus Brewing Company collaborating with Bereta Brewing Company. Bereta Brewing Company is a craft brewery in Giarmata in Romania that brews small batches of modern seasonal craft beer. We brewed our first collaboration beer in Romania in the summer of 2022 when we participated in the Haze Fest Beer Festival. It was a bold, double dry hopped, double IPA. So for this collaboration in Latvia, we went with a totally different style. A sour ale with so much added fruit that it mimics the texture of a smoothie. Sweetness from 3 stone fruits, peach, apricot and mango, and maple syrup balanced with the tartness of sour ale base, lemon and strawberries. We hope you'll enjoy this smoothie sour ale. But yeah, this one, as I said, I know this is a good beer because I have tried this on tap before, but I want to do a proper kind of sit down review of this one. So we'll just do this a few times so that it's nice and balanced. But let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the with the tasting then. Let's do this. A little bit of it just popped out there as I opened the can. But yeah, this does look very nice. You can see how thick this thing is. Look at that. I think we'll just pour the whole thing for this one actually. But there you go. Look at that. Yeah, I remember when we got to the end of the keg with this beer. Yeah, when we got to the end of the keg with this beer, it was like, you know, it was almost impossible to pour. You had to basically tell the customers, like, right, we'll bring this beer out to you when it's ready, because it was just kind of dribbling out because you had so much kind of sedimentation in the keg from this one. But yeah, just look at that. This is insane. So you can see that the beer is poured with about a half finger of a quite bumpy kind of orangey tinted head there. You can see that's just fading away to be a thinner foamy layer, but around the edge of the glass you've got a nice kind of bumpy bubble layer there, but it looks very, very nice in fact. So yeah, this looks good. On top of in terms of the colour, it's kind of what you would expect. I mean, remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. One, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, length of your wort boil is also going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrel aging you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect the colour of your beer too. And when it comes to these kind of modern sour beers like this, then yeah, you are going to be affected quite a little bit by the adjuncts that you put in here. So out of the fruits in this one, yeah, you can see this one looks like a kind of mixed tropical fruit juice. There's no getting away from that. So this one is, you know, opaque as fuck, I think is the way to describe this. I'm curious as to whether this beer has like oats and wheat and things like that in it. It doesn't say, actually. It doesn't say whether it's oats and wheat, but with it being a smoothie sour, I really would not be surprised if there's oats and wheat in here as well. But the majority of the colour in this one, I would imagine, is coming from the peaches, the apricots and the mangoes. The lemon will maybe give you a little bit of the maple syrup too. The strawberry, I think, will just be overpowered by everything else. But yeah, the colour of this one is absolutely lovely. Virtually no visible carbonation in this one at all. Not even a few bubbles kind of sticking toward the side of the glass or anything like that. But yeah, this beer is exactly as I remember it, thick as fuck, and it just looks absolutely lovely. So let's have a wee look at the aroma of this one then, before we actually taste it. So as I always say, take a bit of time to enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But yeah, aroma wise, this is very, very nice. The thing is, with these kind of modern smoothie sour beers, they're often very, very simple in terms of their aroma, but they're just beautiful smelling and beautiful tasting beers. And to be honest, you can't ask for much more than that these days. There's so many craft breweries out there doing lots of different stuff. But yeah, aroma-wise, this is just lovely. I mean, the backbone of the beer, you do get a little tiny hint of like fresh white bread crust and some kind of white bready, doughy kind of notes in there, but the backbone of this beer is very much like a sort of petit filou yogurt type thing. It really is very much like that. So it reminds me actually, with the apricot and the peaches and the mangoes and stuff like that in this one, it reminds me of the Munch Bunch yogurts that my mum used to put in my lunchbox when I was a wee boy, and particularly the apricot ones, of course. So yeah, it smells absolutely lovely in that particular regard. Yeah. So yeah, for me, lovely big kind of almost yogurty backbone to this one. A little bit of vanilla, of course, as well. The maple syrup, you can smell a little bit of it, but honestly it's quite hard to detect just because of the sheer amount of fruity character that you have in this one. You can smell a little bit of the sharpness of the peach and a little bit of zestiness of the lemon. So the lemon's kind of in the top of the nose and the peach is kind of at the back of the nose, I would say. But then other than that, of course, you've got lots of mango, you've got lots of apricot as well, and for me they're kind of the ones that are providing the smoothness of the beer. So the peach is giving you a little bit of kind of tropical sharpness, the lemon's giving you that wee bit of zestiness, and then the other the other parts in this beer are just giving you the other parts in this beer are giving you sort of the other parts in this beer are really giving you a nice the strawberry's just giving you a little bit of juiciness underneath, and the kind of juiciness of the strawberry and the sweetness of the maple syrup are kind of coming together in this one. But yeah, like I say, big yogurty kind of smooth backbone to the beer. It's just absolutely lovely, this one. It gets a big thumbs up from me in that particular regard. Yeah, absolutely lovely stuff. So other than that, there is one of the things we often talk about with these sour beers is the hopping, and it's really interesting to talk to sour beer breweries about their mentality when it comes to hopping. So if you have a big fruity sour beer like this, but you put hops in it, the fruit is going to suppress the hoppy character. Likewise, if you have a more old school, woody, kind of traditional Belgian type sour beer, if you put fresh hops in it, the bitterness is going to detract from the actual sourness of the beer. So quite often a number of brewers will put in like in the old Belgian woody type sour beers, they used to put in older hops to give the beer a little bit more depth, and so that it didn't detract from so it still gave you the hoppy flavour but didn't detract from the sourness of the beer. A lot of modern sour beer breweries don't put hops in the beers at all, but some do. Quite a few in Scandinavia, of course, or most of them I think, don't put hops in these beers, but for example Holy Goat and Vault City back home in Scotland do. I get the impression from the aroma of this beer that there isn't actually hop in this one. I think this one, you do get a little bit of a kind of you get a little touch of a grassy placebo effect out of this one, maybe a little tiny bit of woodiness in there, and yeah, that's about it. But yeah, the fruity kind of juicy characters in this beer would absolutely overpower any hoppy character that you had. You can tell just from the sheer strength of the fruity nature of this beer, but there's nothing wrong with that at all, I have to say. But yeah, as I always say, take a little bit of time and just enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. This one is absolutely beautiful, and that was one of the things that kind of struck me when we first got this one on tap, actually. So yeah, I think we can leave it at that for the aroma with this one. Let's actually have a taste of this then and see how we go. So yeah, to give it its full name, this one is the Peach, Apricot, Mango, Strawberry, Lemon, Maple Smoothie Sour Ale, a collaboration between Ārpus Brewing Co in Eimuri and Ādaži near Riga in Latvia, and Bereta, who are from Giarmata, just outside of Timisoara in the southeast of Romania. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål, cheers. Oh yeah. That is very, very nice. I can see someone who's not familiar with like smoothie sours drinking this and saying, is that really beer? But yeah, this really is very, very nice. It's a beautiful, beautiful smoothie sour, this one. I think you don't get much more smoothie sour than this. You guys watching the channel here in Sweden will know that I'm a huge fan of the likes of Elm 11 and Duck Pond and Fermenterina and these guys who can do the smoothie sours just beautifully. This one definitely runs those beers close out, so this is a really, really nicely done beer. I'd heard that Arpus were good at these, but I think I'll need to keep an eye on some of these beers now, in fact. So, Let's do this. So, yeah, in terms of the I don't even know where we start with this one. This beer is just so easy to drink. It's so creamy and smooth. It's really yogurty. It is very much like a, you know, when they say smoothie sour, they mean smoothie sour with these things. But yeah, let's just break this beer down and describe it a wee bit more in depth. But as I said, these beers are very straightforward in terms of flavour profile and aroma, but if done well, they're just beautiful to drink. And this one certainly is certainly fits into that category, I have to say. So yeah, let's do this. Backbone of the beer then, you do have a tiny little bit of like a fresh brown bready bread crust in there. I think that goes together really, really nicely. So yeah, lovely little bit of kind of smooth, fresh bready bread crust in there, which I think goes together really well. Above that, you do get a little touch of like a white bread, but then above all of that, you get this kind of yogurty, petit filou, creamy type character coming out of this one. And yeah, so toward the front of that middle third of the palate, you get the toward the front of that middle third of the palate, you get a little touch of kind of vanilla in there, but in the middle of your palate, as I say, you get the kind of yogurty notes in there. You get a slightly kind of, it's a very, very, very slightly sour yogurty note that you get in the dead centre of your palate. But above that, you can feel the maple syrup in there, the kind of brightness of the maple syrup, which is really nice. So yeah, the brightness of the maple syrup that you get in this beer is absolutely lovely, and I do really like how that goes together in this one. Yeah, the nice kind of oily maple syrupy character in this beer kind of just lingers there into the aftertaste. So you get that kind of nice yogurty petit filou sort of thing with a little touch of vanilla to it, and the maple syrup just kind of linger in there. But you do get a little bit, you can taste a little bit of the kind of sweet oaty creaminess, which I think gives the beer a slightly vanilla type quality as well. But yeah, the middle of your palate in this beer, it's very straightforward, like I said, but the flavour is just really very, very nice. I think that's everything we need to say about the middle third of your palate, to be honest with you. As I say, very simple flavour profiles in these beers, from a lot of, in a big sense, but they're just really nice to drink. The border region then, if we look at the back third of the palate, the border region between middle and back third of your palate, you get a little slight bready build up in there, but it's still very yogurty and very thick in that sense. So you get that in there. But yeah. Above that, you have above that you have a really nice kind of above that kind of bready character, you do get a little bit more of the kind of yogurty note, and then of course you've got the back third of your palate. And as I've always said, on the back third of the palate you get similar flavours to what you would in the middle third of your palate, but they just come out in different intensities. But you also need to remember that more dry and bitter flavours come out further back on the palate, sweeter flavours come out further forward. But yeah, on the back third of the palate you can feel that the bread crusty character in the base is a little bit drier. So yeah, nice little bit of kind of bread crusty base in there. Above that, there's maybe a teeny little bit of like a crackery note, which is kind of unique. And then you've got a little bit of fluffy white bread. But then yeah, above all of that, above all of it, you have a very nice kind of creamy, yogurty type note coming out of the beer. So yeah, you can feel that creamy yogurty note in there, which feels a little bit fluffier and a little bit lighter, more airy. But yeah, and you can feel on the top of that back third of the palate, there's a little bit of oaty dryness in there, I think, and then you can feel a wee bit of the kind of drier aspects of the. You can feel a little touch of the drier aspect of the how do you say, the maple syrup just creeping over there too. You do get a little element of yeasty character out of this one too, so let's just have a wee look at that. The yeast kind of sits above everything else on the top of that back third of the palate. So yeah, the yeasty character that you get out of this beer is really interesting. So for me, the yeasty side of things, you've got a little bit of a how would you say, you have got a really nice it's like a sort of lighter wholemeal brown bready sort of thing wrapped in honeycomb, so it's really quite sweet in that sense. But yeah, definitely the back third of the palate, you can feel the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your palate, it just kind of condenses down and squashes together that little bit more. So yeah, the way this beer goes together, I think, is very, very nice actually. I do like how all of this pieces together. Yeah, I think this is good. I think this is very good actually. Yeah, the malty and yeasty side of this beer I think is really nice, and it gets a big thumbs up from me. So in terms of the hoppy side of things, the green component, like I said earlier, I'm pretty convinced from the flavour of this one that there has been no hop used in this one, either that or very little, because the sides of your palate are very, very smooth. But that's not to say you don't get a little bit of an almost kind of placebo flavour out of this one. So I mean, in the back third of the palate, in the back corners of the palate, I get like teeny little bit of earthiness, a kind of smooth, almost woody character along the side of the palate, and then just a tiny little bit of floral note on the front corners of the palate. But I'm pretty certain this is just placebo effect. Round the front curve of the tongue though, you do get a little bit of a kind of zesty, grassy character there, but I do suspect that could be the kind of lemon, the lemons giving you that sort of zesty, almost grassy type nature to the beer. But yeah, let's focus on the front third of the palate and the actual fruity side of things with this one then, because we've not mentioned that yet. So the border region between front third and middle third of your palate, again you get a little bit of bready build up in there with that big yogurty kind of creamy character. The base of that front third of your palate, little tiny bit of bread crust, a little bit of a smoother, as I say, a little bit of a kind of smoother kind of white bread in there, but then yeah, you get that big sort of yogurty base too, and then the fruity adjuncts all sit on top of that. What I would say is that the lemons for me kind of come out around the edge of that front kind of tip of your tongue, and then above the yogurty character you've got a wee bit of that juicy strawberry note actually, which is interesting. So yeah, it sounded like with this one they've added the strawberries and the lemons in the base, but then they put all the other fruits in a little bit later on. But yeah, with this one, I mean, absolutely, you've got the how would you say? You've absolutely got the sort of you've got the tropical fruits just kind of sitting on top of that. So kind of at the back, I think at the back of that front third of your palate, that's where you're getting the kind of peachy sharpness, and there's a little bit of a kind of homeostatic thing going on with the sharpness of the peaches and the zestiness of the lemons. You can feel those kind of interacting really well together. But yeah, you've got a really nice kind of apricot, you know, it's the apricots and the mangoes are forming the majority of the smoothness that you'll find that the beer itself, you've got the lemony kind of zesty layer at the front and kind of on the tip of your tongue, the juiciness of the strawberries and the peach at the back. But other than that, it's the apricots and the mangoes in this one that are giving you a lot of the smoothness. So yeah, just to summarise that again so that I've done it right, at least for me. If you go to the back of that front third of your palate, you get the peachy sharpness in there. As you move down, you'll get the base layer of kind of juicy strawberry, the lemony tartness around the edges of that front tip of your tongue, and then above everything else is the peach and the apricot that's just sort of lingering there. But yeah, that goes together really, really nicely, and it gets a big thumbs up from me. So yeah, I really do like how this beer pieces together, in fact. Yeah, I like this one. Big thumbs up. So, yeah, I think that covers everything we need to say about the flavour of this one. But into the aftertaste, you do get more and more of the zestiness from the lemons, which I think is very, very nice. But yeah, really interesting beer, this one. It is as good as I remember it. and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this one again, but I think I do need to try more sour beers from Arpus, and I also need to try and review a few more Bereta things on the channel as well. But yeah, let's round off with a wee look at the mouthfeel then with this one. So, as I said, the mouthfeel in this beer is pretty much thick as fuck. There's no way of getting around that, but it's lovely and creamy, very kind of yogurty and smoothie-like, as you would say. So I think this one's kind of pushing, it's kind of at the mid to top point of full-bodied. The carbonation is very, very smooth. It's lovely and silky and creamy. In terms of your IBU count in this beer, I think technically speaking it will be 0, but you probably do have like 5 IBUs or something like that to this one. There is a wee touch of bitterness from like the lemon and things, for sure. The backbone of the beer, you have a nice kind of, as I said, you get a little bit of dryness out of the malt base, but for the most part the malt base is kind of creamy and smooth. The maple syrup in there just gives you a nice little bit of subtle sweetness. This beer really is more yogurty and creamy than it is sweet and maple syrup like, we have to say that. And then you've got all the lovely fruity notes in this one. The strawberry gives you a bit of juiciness, the lemon gives you a bit of zestiness, the peach gives you a little bit of kind of tropical sharpness, but then yeah, the other ones give you a very, very nice kind of sort of just big kind of creamy character actually. So yeah, the way that this beer goes together for me is very, very nice, and it gets a massive thumbs up. So a big, you know, I take my hat off to both Arpus and Bereta for this. This is lovely, and I will need to try a few more beers from both of these breweries going forward. But yeah, I think we can leave it at that for this one. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from both Arpus and Bereta, and we will return to these guys at some point soon. But this one was the Peach, Apricot, Mango, Strawberry, Lemon, Maple Smoothie Sour Ale, brewed at Ārpus Brewing Co in Eimuri in Ādaži, just outside of Riga in Latvia, in collaboration with Bereta Brewing Company from Giarmata, near Timișoara, in the southeastern part of Romania. Lovely stuff, and I'm really glad that I got to try this beer on the channel for you. So yeah, thank you for watching. Check out my social media, check out the brewery's social media, and I'll see you guys in another review very, very shortly. Slàinte, skål, cheers, catch you guys later.